Welcome to Houston Baptist University's Psych 4326, The Psychology of Death and Dying. Reminder, these presentations are only intended to highlight some important or difficult points from the chapter. They are in no way comprehensive and do not include all of the material that students will be held responsible for on exams. You are expected to completely and thoroughly engage with all the required learning materials. Exams in this course may include questions taken from the textbook readings, videos, and PowerPoint presentations. This presentation covers some important topics from Chapter 6 in our book. Make sure you read all of the chapter and take notes. There is much more material in the chapter than we are covering in this brief presentation. Coping with dying almost always involves more than just one individual. We typically focus on the ill person, but coping is also a challenge for those who are involved in these situations, such as family members and friends of the dying person. Coping thus involves more than one set of perceptions about what is going on, more than one set of motivations, and more than one way of coping. Active and empathetic listening helps us understand what coping means for the individual. Sensitivity is essential. This beautiful poem. Dying persons don't move towards death at the same rate of speed or in the same ways. Processes of dying or coming to be dead have their own distinctive characteristics for each individual. Glaser and Strauss suggested that we should view dying trajectories in terms of two principal characteristics: the time or duration between the onset of dying and the arrival of death, and the certainty or predictability of the course of the dying process. Some trajectories involve an up and down history of remission, relapse, remission, and so on. Others make slow, steady progress towards death. Sometimes the trajectory is brief, even instantaneous, and sometimes it takes years and years of suffering, such as in cases of Alzheimer's disease. Glaser and Strauss identified 4 different awareness contexts. In closed awareness, the person who's dying does not realize this fact. Medical staff know, family members may know, but the information has not been conveyed to the dying person. The information generally can't remain hidden for long. In suspected awareness, the patient has a suspicion that they don't have all the information. This may undermine trust and complicate future communication. Cultural differences may impact awareness contexts. For example, in Asian culture, it is common to withhold information from those who are dying. In mutual pretense, the information is held by all parties, but not shared or discussed between them. Think back to the horse on the dining room table. All involved wish to avoid an uncomfortable discussion. In open awareness, everyone realizes and is willing to discuss the fact that the person is dying, and there is no pretense. The best-known model of coping with dying is the stage-based model proposed by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She interpreted these stages as defense mechanisms that will last for periods of time and will replace each other or exist at times side by side. She felt that the one thing that usually persists through all the stages is hope. There are major difficulties with accepting this model. Make sure you look over page 141 and 2 in your text to see some of the difficulties. A task-based approach allows work to be taken in coping with dying. Like all work, one can choose whether or not to take on a particular task. Choice implies empowerment. Assistance from others in support of these coping tasks can be important and even necessary. First, we have physical tasks, including bodily needs such as food and drink, and distress such as pain and nausea and so on. Satisfying bodily needs is the indispensable foundation on which the work of meeting others' needs can be built. Psychological tasks such as security and autonomy are also important. Autonomy is the ability to be in charge of one's own life. It may be limited. All of us are interdependent in many ways, but retaining some degree of self-government within everyday constraints is important. Other issues here include personal dignity and quality of living. Social tasks include sustaining and enhancing the interpersonal attachments valued by the coping person. Only the individual can decide which attachments he or she values, and these decisions may alter as one lives through the process of coping with dying. Spiritual tasks are difficult to describe as spirituality may be interpreted differently by different people. Components usually include finding meaning in life, finding connection or transcendence or deep connection with God or hope. This chapter also includes important information on pages 148 through 50 in the textbook, including the top 5 regrets of the dying and the 5 phases of living with life-threatening illness. Make sure you read the chapter thoroughly. I'll see you next chapter.